Save a life, or perhaps helped keep a watchful eye on a neighborhood. Today, you probably helped put food on someone's table, or help build a road that leads to a destiny. You may have even helped shape the minds of our future. By paying your taxes, you help keep critical medical staff in a job, a school to run, or a neighborhood safe, and a whole lot more. Your taxes help Zambia become better for you and me. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Hello, it's a beautiful and lovely day. Thank you for joining us again on Tax Chat. My name is Alice Lungu. On today's chat, we are looking at tax clearance certificate, and to help us look at this is Mrs. Nosiku Mulozi Namakando, tax consultant from Zambia Revenue Authority. Good to have you on Tax Chat.
Thank you so much, Alice. Hello, viewers.
Yes. To begin with, and Nosiku, what is an electronic tax clearance certificate, ETCC?
That's a very good question, because viewers out there wondering what is an electronic tax clearance certificate. They're eager to know what this electronic tax clearance certificate that most people call TCC is. This is a certificate that is issued by the Commissioner General, and it is valid for such a period as may be certified. The person or partnership to whom or to which it is issued should have fulfilled all obligations according to the Income Tax Act or any other act for which the Commissioner General is responsible, such as the filing of returns and also the payment of taxes that have been assessed or that are due. It is more or less like a good standing report for being tax compliant.
Okay.
Yes.
And what are the types of ETCC issued by Zambia Revenue Authority? Okay,
there are a number of electronic TCs that are issued by the Zambia Revenue Authority. The first one being the General ETCC. This is issued to businesses. For example, if you've got a hardware, let's say in Lumumba Road, you would require a tax clearance certificate. Also, property tax transfer certificate. For example, when you're buying land or a building, the seller should have a TCC, even the buyer as well. Then there's also the presumptive tax clearance certificate for those who are engaged in businesses, for example, the bus and taxi operators. Then there's also the motor vehicle change of ownership tax clearance certificate.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What are some of these transactions or cases where requirements for a general ETCC is mandatory?
Thank you so much for that question. The transactions are actually quite many. Yes. Some of them are any person or partnership that is trading in the supplying of services or goods. For example, those who are engaged in bookstores. They supply books, they supply DVDs, they need a tax clearance certificate. Any person who is applying for a change of ownership for a motor vehicle. For example, I buy a motor vehicle from you. I'll need a tax clearance certificate that I'll have to take to RATSA. Any person who is seeking to register a motor vehicle. Any person who is applying for advanced income tax waiver on importation and exportation of goods. This is so that they won't suffer certain taxes that are imposed on the importation of goods. Also on the remittance of funds that are equivalent or above US $2,000 through a commercial bank. Then also any person who is obtaining any license or permit that is issued by any government ministry, department or agency, any person, institution or authority that is empowered under any written law to regulate that person, institution or authority's members to renew their licenses, for example, these are required to produce a valid ETCC. Then we also have people who are changing ownership for shares, for intellectual property, for land and building, as well as for mining rights. Then we also have persons who are seeking for a carrier's license, for example, those require a valid TCC. Then we also have any person seeking to acquire a trading license, mining license, mineral processing permit, or a gold panning certificate. A valid ETCC will be required. Yeah.
Masiko, under what circumstances should an ETCC be issued?
Thank you very much for that question. A taxpayer may be wondering because they're interested in acquiring a tax clearance certificate and they would want to meet certain conditions for them to get it. So the conditions that need to be met for the tax clearance certificate to be issued include on-time registration of a taxpayer identification number and or relevant taxes. So one should have a TPIN first before they can get a TCC, on-time declaration and filing of returns, meaning the taxpayer should file the returns for any transactions that have taken place in a particular period. Also, on-time payment of correct taxes. So for any transactions that were made and payments have to be made, the taxpayer should ensure that payments are made. If it's a new payment, transactions didn't take place, no income was received, then they would have filed a new payment. Then also time to pay agreements, arrangements. There are times when taxpayers are not able to settle liabilities at once. So they come over to the Zambia Revenue offices and enter into a time to pay agreement where they agree to make the payments according to the time that they've agreed with the ZRA staff. And if they honor those arrangements, a tax clearance certificate will be issued to the taxpayer.
Okay. And under what circumstance can the ETCC be suspended, cancelled, or not issued?
Okay. I mentioned the criteria that has to be met, the conditions that have to be met for a tax clearance certificate to be issued. So if those conditions are not met, the tax clearance certificate can be cancelled or suspended. The ETCC will be suspended or will even be cancelled if certain conditions are not met. And these include the failure to submit returns on time or to submit correct returns, the failure to make correct payments on time. Maybe the payments are made but after the due date because return filing and the payments for all tax types have got due dates. Also, the failure to make correct declarations, be it domestic taxes or customs. Let's say I import some goods, but then I undervalue them or underdeclare them. For that, the tax clearance certificate will be suspended or will be cancelled. Also, the failure to register for correct tax types on time. May I also make mention that the Commissioner General may by notice in writing cancel or suspend an ETCC, and the cancellation or suspension shall have effect from the date of service or the notice on the holder or the TCC.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
And how does one apply for a general ETCC?
Interesting question. So a taxpayer can apply for a general TCC through the Zambia Revenue ZRA web portal. However, in order to apply for an ETCC, the taxpayer needs to have a taxpayer identification number or a TPIN and or register for correct tax types. To apply for a general ETCC, the taxpayer will have to go to the ZRA homepage, which is www.zra.org.zm, and they should ensure that they use Chrome, Edge, or Firefox as their browser. Then secondly, they should select taxpayer portal. Having done that, they need to log into their portal using their login credentials. This is simply their TPIN and their password. Having logged in, they'll see the dashboard. On the dashboard, on the left side, there is a menu. On the menu, they select compliance. Having selected compliance, options will come up. On the options, select tax clearance certificate. Then click on apply for TCC. Having clicked that option, the TCC will be available for download, so they can download it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You are watching Tax Chat. For now, we'll go on a break. We'll be right back. Don't change the channel.
Alo, bakamba yashani. Uthi mwangwasha so sure. You can't leave me behind like this. You move me no wino. Nikamba naiwe. You don't realize that by taking your receipt, you are ensuring a fair playing field for businesses and their tax obligations. Take me with you, Iwe.
By ensuring we receive a receipt every time we make a purchase, we're ensuring that businesses honor their tax obligations.
Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Our taxes go a long way in assisting those less fortunate than ourselves.
Good morning, mother. Your medicine is ready. Don't worry. Walipila kudala.
Ziko mkwambi wanga.
By making the right choice and honoring all our tax obligations, we ensure that we will have a hassle-free journey and help build a better future for ourselves and our nation.
Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Tired of long queues and endless paperwork? We are too. Pay your taxes using e-payment. Zambia Revenue Authority, working to serve you efficiently.
Welcome back. You are watching Tax Chat, and today we are looking at tax clearance certificate. Masiku, institutions or business houses required to demand for a valid ETCC?
Yes, they are. But before I explain more on that, may I make mention that for tax accounts that have no liabilities and or missing retains on them, a tax clearance certificate is issued automatically. If for some reason the tax account has some liabilities and or missing retains, a general ETC will not be issued. So taxpayers are expected to be compliant with on-time return filing and also payment, like I had said, on the conditions for issuing a tax clearance certificate. Then for any other ETCs, the process is different, as the taxpayer will have to fill in certain forms or forms that are prescribed to them and also attach required supporting documents. Institutions, business houses are required to demand for a valid ETCC when engaged in transactions with a supplier of goods or services. However, the minister may, through statutory regulations, establish a threshold below which goods or services may be simplified or supplied by a person or partnership without the need for a tax clearance certificate. The registered institution empowered to transfer property shall register the transfer of property if the applicant or person or partnership transferring the property produces a valid tax clearance certificate. I'll give an example of the Ministry of Lands. Okay. They're empowered by law to transfer property. They do the change of ownership for land and buildings. Therefore, a valid tax clearance certificate has to be produced for this change of ownership to take place. Also, the process of ownership for a motor vehicle shall register the motor vehicle if the person or the applicant applying for ownership of a motor vehicle produces a valid tax clearance certificate. Also, a person, institution, or authority empowered to issue a trading license under any written law shall issue the trading license to an applicant or to a person if the applicant produces a tax clearance certificate or an exploration license, mining license, mineral processing license, gold panning certificate, mineral trading permit, mineral import permit, or mineral export, issue a license under the Mines and Minerals Development Act of 2015 shall issue the license, certificate, or permit to the applicant if the applicant produces a valid tax clearance certificate.
Okay. And what is the valid date of an ETCC?
A general ETCC is valid for a period of 1 year. However, it can be cancelled. It can be suspended during the year by failure to submit returns and make payments. Hence the emphasis on correct return declaration, on-time return filing, on-time payment. Okay. And also the tax clearance certificate will be cancelled or suspended if any of those conditions are not met. For other ETCs, the validity period may be prescribed by the Commissioner General. It is also important to note that if ZI discovers that the taxpayer did not register for the correct tax types, they are at liberty to cancel or to suspend the tax clearance certificate.
Mm-hmm. And how can one tell if someone is in the possession of the valid ETCC?
Okay, interesting question. A tax clearance certificate has got a quick response code, or what people call the QR code, on the top right corner. Okay. So the person receiving that tax clearance certificate should be able to verify by checking or by scanning the QR code that is on the top right corner. And there are certain features that have to be on the tax clearance certificate. Those features include the correct tipping or the taxpayer. For example, if it's Alice Traders, the name Alice Traders should be there as well. So the correct tipping for Alice Traders, the correct name, which is Alice Traders, the certificate number, the certificate type, the reference number, the date of issue, as well as the date of expiry. Also, the status of the ETCC. For example, is the TCC active? Is the TCC cancelled? Is the TCC suspended? That information will show when the QR code is scanned.
Okay. Are there any exemption from the requirements to provide a tax clearance certificate?
Yes, the exemptions are there. For example, where goods or services per transaction do not exceed the value of 200 kwacha, a TCC will not be required. Also, for a student, a TCC will not be required. Also, in the case of where a supplier is dealing in agricultural products, whose transaction do not exceed 10,000 kwacha per transaction, a TCC will not be required. But one may be wondering, what are those agricultural products that they are talking about? Agricultural products include cereals, livestock, mangombe, for example, and the value does not exceed 10,000 kwacha per transaction. A TCC will not be expected. The other examples of agricultural products include fruits, even vegetables. Those are agricultural products. And if the transaction, the value is less 10,000 kwacha, the TCC will not be required. Also, from an applicant or from a person who is not carrying on a business that is not related to what you are doing, you will not demand a TCC from that person. Okay. Then the minister may, through statutory instrument, exempt a member regulated by an institution, by an authority, or by an agency. Yes, by law.
Okay. Should a person making a personal importation or exportation apply for an ETCC even when they are not in business?
Oh yes, Alice, they should. They should. Any person importing or exporting goods should be in possession of a valid TCC. This is for the purpose of obtaining relief on advanced income tax, what most people call AIT. This is so that they do not suffer more taxes that are needed for importation of goods and services. For example, the 15% on importation of goods. It is also a requirement for an importer and exporter to have a valid ETCC and the TP at the time of importation or exportation in order to benefit from this relief. Yes, because there will be that tax relief that is given or granted to them. So it's actually a benefit to the taxpayer.
Okay. So, Nosiko, your concluding remarks on the topic that we just had, which is tax clearance certificate.
A tax clearance certificate is not just a simple paper. It's not just any other document. It is a very important document that can open doors to lucrative businesses, to lucrative business opportunities, partnerships. Therefore, it is very important that a taxpayer is tax compliant, ably and willingly complying with the tax laws of the nation, so that they enjoy the benefits that come with a tax clearance certificate. Imagine you go to the bank, you want to send money to your son or to your daughter who is studying overseas, and the value of the amount that you're sending is about $2,000, and then they tell you you cannot send money to your son or to your daughter, yet your daughter that side really needs the money, and they tell you cannot send because you do not have a valid ETCC. Therefore, it's a very important document, even for businesses, because it enables or fosters trust and credibility, because the people that you are dealing with will know that you are a credible person, you are a credible taxpayer, and you comply with the laws of the land.
Thank you so much, Nosiko. It's been a pleasure having you on Tax Chat.
Thank you very much for having me. My appeal to the taxpayers, in case of any challenge or challenges regarding the tax clearance certificate or any other tax issues, you are free to visit our offices. We've got service centers, for example, at Cosmopolitan Mall, Civic Center, the Ministry of Lands, or what they call Mungush House. We've got ECL Mall in Kitwe. We've got the ZI Service Center at the ZI headquarters here in Lusaka. You can also access more information on the website, which is www.zra.org.zm. You are free to write to us at advice.zra.org.zm, or you can even call us on our toll-free line, which is 4111. Remember, it is my tax, your tax, our destiny.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you for tuning in to Lumen TV and for watching Tax Chat. It's bye-bye.
Today, you probably helped save a life. Or perhaps helped keep a watchful eye on a neighborhood. Today, you probably helped put food on someone's table. Or help build a road that leads to a destiny. You may have even helped shape the minds of our future. By paying your taxes, you help keep critical medical staff in a job, a school to run, or a neighborhood safe, and a whole lot more. Your taxes help Zambia become better for you and me. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.